Hello all. We'll still wait for a couple of minutes for others. Good afternoon, Vidhi. Okay, we can dig in. In the last session, we have started with exception handling, and we have seen two keywords, try and catch. Anybody having any questions regarding what is try and what is catch?
No, ma'am.
Okay, everybody is very clear with what is try and what is catch, right? They are used for, yes, they are used for exception handling mechanism. We are going to see more of, there are 5 keywords inside that, that statement that I have described in the last session. we have seen two keywords, try and catch. The statements which are probable of error, which may or may not have exception, are kept in try, and the ones that the normal statement, simple statement, which are not critical, you can keep it outside the try block also. And if the exception is arising in the try block, then the control of the program is going to the matching catch block. We also have seen different types of catch blocks, meaning one try with multiple catch blocks. Okay, where wherever you are writing the exception superclass exception, you are not supposed to write any catch blocks after that exception superclass, because it is already catching all of the exceptions that are occurring in the program. But if you want to list out individual exception, make sure you do it before the superclass is being used, because superclass is covering all the property of subclass. So after that, you are not supposed to write any of the catch blocks which are of the subclasses type. Okay, we have seen this much so far. If you are not having any questions, we can move forward to the next topic. Actually, the same topic itself. Okay, so yes, we have seen that in the try block, whatever exceptions are there, you can write the statements over there. And for the catch block, either you can catch the exception by using the superclass, or if you want, you can even use the subclass also. The thing that I wanted to show you here is that even if you are mentioning here the superclass, as superclass is already having information regarding all the subclasses, even if you mentioned the generalized superclass exception name over here, even though it is going to give you the correct information. Okay, even if you are creating an array of, say for example, negative size, as the superclass exception already knows what this exception is all about, it automatically is going to report you correct exception only. So you need not to worry about what exception the exception class is catching, because it is going to definitely inherit. It is inherited in all the subclasses, so it is having access to all of them. So it is going to report to the correct exception only. We need not to worry about that. Okay. Then I want to show you finally clause. Okay. Finally is a block of code which is going to execute no matter what happens in try and catch. And finally, statements are independent of whether the exception is occurring or it's not occurring. Okay, it is not going to depend on whether the exception has occurred in the try or block or not, or whether the control is being transferred to catch or not. It doesn't matter. The finally block is going to execute the statements any which way. What is the use of finally block? First, let us see what is finally block and how you can put statements here. Okay. Okay. Whether the exception is occurring or not, and I'm also writing here, and I'm also mentioning at the top that your program is starting. Okay. Now, the finally block is going to execute independent of whether the try block is encountering error or not. Okay, even if it is encountering the error, the control of the try is transferred to catch, and the catch is executed. And apart from that, again the control is going back to finally and is executing the complete program as it is. The finally block, independent of whether the exception is occurring or not, it is going to always execute. Okay, that is the finally block. See, even if exception is occurring or not, if exception is occurring, then the control is going to the catch block, and again the finally and the rest of the program is continuing as it is. If the exception is not occurring in the try block, then also the finally block is definitely going to get executed along with the rest of the program. Okay. Now you may start to feel that what is the use of finally block? When the exception handling mechanism is already there for try and catch, then the rest of the program is going to execute normally only, right? This statement is again going to execute the same way. This statement is going to get executed in the same way the final is getting executed, right? There is no point in mentioning the finally block, because the exception is already handled over here. It has already been handled over here. Then what is the use of this block? If we can execute the statement after that program very successfully without any problems, then there shouldn't be any use of this finally block, right? That should be a question from your end. If you are having that question, then I am giving you the answer. Two things are there, okay? The first thing is that the finally block may or may not execute in case there is no matching catch. Okay, there is no matching catch block for the corresponding try block. Okay, I am showing you the example. I even told you in the last session that it is not compulsory for the try block to always have the matching catch block. Okay, the program the developer can choose to not to write the catch block for sure. There could be 0 or more than 0, meaning one or multiple catch blocks for sure. But if you don't want to mention the catch block, again it is okay, it is optional. Just 1 minute. Yeah, okay. Yes. Where was I? Here, yes. Okay. So, as I was saying, yes, it is not always mandatory to mention the catch block. It can be there, it cannot be there. Okay. Your program try block can have 0 or multiple catch blocks. Okay. If I am not catching any exceptions over here, right? If I am not catching any exceptions over here, then definitely if it is no error in the program, then the program runs fine. Okay. Finally block is executed successfully, C, and the program is also running successfully. But if the exception is arising as there is no mechanism for catching this error, okay, as there is no mechanism for catching this error, the program is not ending. Did you see this? The question you might have, you must have this question also. The question you must have is, if the finally block is used to execute the statement whether try is having exception or not, or it is independent of the try and catch block, then the statement outside try and catch block are also independent. Why? Because if the exception is not occurring in the try block, if the catch block is there for handling this exception, we need not to worry about whether this finally block is there or not, because it is going to be same executed in a sequence just like this statement also. Okay, then what is the use of finally block? That question you must have. Okay, are you having that question or not? That you have to first tell me. Is that question arising in your mind? Are you getting what point I am trying to convey here is that if the catch block, if there are no exceptions occurring in the try block, okay, the normal execution of the program will be there for sure. But if the exception is occurring in the program, then the control is going to the catch block, and this finally block is independent of whether the exception is arising here or not. Meaning this block is same like this statement in exception handling, where this try and catch is automatically handling the thing for exception, right? So rest of the program is going to continue in the normal execution only. Then what is the use of finally block? Do you have that question in your mind or not? Is that question arising in your mind? What is the use of finally block? If the normal execution of the program is automatically happening, then what is the use of finally block? Is that question arising in your mind or not? Yes, you have to tell me, are you getting? Yes, right. There is no point in writing the finally block if try and catch are automatically handling its own thing, right? So the program flow will be normal only. Then why are you telling, madam, that finally block is needed when you want to execute a statement which is even with the error is there or not, it has to execute. Okay. But automatically it is executing. Even this statement is also executed in the same way. This finally is executing. Okay, that is the question here. Now, if, when, why, what is the need of this? That I am telling you. Okay, what is the need of finally? Even if you have a normal execution, then also, what is the need of finally? Yes, good. That I am describing here now. I am giving the solution for that question now. If the catch block was not mentioned and the exception is arising in the program, if the matching catch block is not found here and the exception is arising in the program, then if you run as the catch block is not there for catching the expression, this exception, the internal JVM is handling this exception, so the rest of the statement of the program are skipped. Okay, and even though they are skipped, still the finally block is executing, and then only the rest of the statements of the program are skipped. Whenever we have also seen this in a normal program also, that whenever your JVM is trying to handle something, okay, it is running out into this kind of exceptions only, right? Whenever your JVM is handling the exception inside itself, no, it is going to throw the exception. I'm writing the same code again here, okay? Then it is definitely going to throw the exception, and the program is going to abnormally terminate, not printing this end statement, okay? It is handled by the JVM. Because you have not mentioned any try and catch, that is the reason. I forgot a bracket, yes. Because you haven't mentioned any try and catch, so automatically this message is going to be there, and the JVM is breaking the control, okay? So to handle these exceptions only, we are using try and catch mechanism. But in try and catch only also, if you are not mentioning the catch block, it is okay for try to not have a catch block. Hear my words very carefully. It is okay for the try block to not to have any catch block if and only if the finally block is mentioned along with the try. Once I remove the finally block, you will have the error that the try is not having any catch or finally block, right? So try block cannot live on its own. It will require this finally block or catch block. It is optional to have catch block. Again, it is optional to have finally block also. Okay, it is not mandatory to keep finally block in your program, but again, when this will execute and when this normal statements won't execute, that scenario is whenever the catch block is not mentioned and your program is going into some exception, unchecked runtime exception, negative array size exception, which is unchecked or runtime exception, at that time, the finally block will still execute and the rest of the program is not running. Okay, these statements are actually skipped, they are skipped from the execution. Now, are you getting the first reason of using finally block? Are you getting the first reason only? I'm giving you one more reason why do we use this, why do we use this block, but are you getting the first reason or not? That is my question.
Ma'am, can we add the rest of the sentences in the final block?
Can you repeat that question again? I didn't got your question.
Can we add rest of the sentences in the final block?
Yes, yes. Yeah. You can add multiple statements here. There is no limitation in mentioning the statements here. Okay. You can add multiple number of statements here in final. It is a complete block. It is not one statement. Okay. So you can definitely add multiple statements here. Now this statement, independent of this exception, will definitely execute. See, program is ending. Even though it is showing you this exception again, but still that is printing and executing rest of the statements, right? That is the reason of using finally block. That is the first reason. Now, are you getting this much first? What is the difference between keeping the statement outside the finally block and keeping it inside the finally block? If there are no exceptions, if there are no exceptions, automatically this code is going to execute very fine, okay? If there are no exceptions in the try block, then there is no need to catch anything here. If there is no need to catch anything, the normal execution is happening. You don't have to worry about anything, okay? Again, if you are, same thing, okay? If you are catching the exception, again the same thing. If you are catching the exception, okay? If you are catching this exception and you are handling this error, there is no problem. It is going to execute in a normal fashion only. If you have exception or not, it is going to work in normal fashion only because catch is there to handle your exception, okay? And finally is simply there for the statements which may or may not be printed if catch is not there. Okay, but if catch is not there, there is no way to handle this exception. Then finally block is going to execute the rest of the statement and then terminate the program without touching this outer side of the finally statements. Are you getting this first reason? First meaning? Yes, are you getting this first finally thing that I'm telling you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now I am coming to this. Yes. Okay, good. Yes. Now I am coming to the second point. What is the use of finally? The actual use of finally, that I am coming to that point. The actual use of finally is, you will be using this in file handling also. The main purpose of finally block is, whenever you are opening the file, for maybe reading or writing purpose. Okay. I've even shown you this example in the last session. There is a file reader. This you might, I already have shown you this example. File reader is there. Okay. And file reader is used, it is an object class which is used to, to do this reading from the file. Okay. It is allowed, you can read any file from this, file reader class. Okay. It is having mechanisms like functions like reading and read function. Okay. So for example, the file is r.txt. And for reading the file, I'm calling the read function here. Read is going to read the data from the file. Okay. I'm not going in details here for now. The point I'm trying to convey is whenever you are writing a notepad file even, okay. Whenever you are even writing a notepad file, and by after you write this file, okay, if you accidentally close it, it will ask you, do you want to save these changes or not, right? The same mechanism is also carry forwarded by your file reader and file writer class. Both are the classes capable of reading and writing, to and from files. Okay. Now, if this save is not done and if don't save is clicked, then the data which is written in the file will be vanished. Am I correct or not? Right? The data from the file, if you're not saving it, it is going to vanish itself. The updated file will not be received to you. It will not show the updated copy to you. Now, there are statements like close statements, fr.close, or you can even see it is showing the error currently, so it is not working fine. No, it is not working fine because fr is not declared before. Wait. I'll declare it here itself. Okay. Yes. There are functions like fr.close. It is showing the exception should be thrown because I haven't, kept this for throws exception. This I'm going to show you later on. But there are functions known as close, which you can even use in scanner also. Okay, you might have seen this in scanner also. That even you can close the scanner stream. All these close functions which are used for closing the file up or closing the input stream where you are getting the data from the scanner class. To close that stream or to close and save the file properly, these functions are used. Even the same function is there in file writer also. Okay, file writer is also having the same function close. Whenever you are creating the file reader object, the file is getting opened in the backend and it is reading the file out with this command, read command, and at the last you have to close the file. If the file is not closed before exiting the program, then it will be in an unpredictable state. What you've written inside that will not be saved in it. Okay. It is always mandatory to close the file whenever you are reading or writing the data from it, because by reading also you have to close it. Why? Because some other thread might access the same file at the same time. Okay. So once the program is completing, the writes of that file is going to the another thread which is going to open or maybe read or something from that file. Okay. So all these operations are always written inside finally. Why? Because even if the exception is occurring or not occurring, even if you have catch the exception or not catch the exception, whatever the scenario, the file will get successfully closed. Are you getting the actual user finally now? If your streams are unclosed and if you're writing these statements outside finally, or you didn't have any picture of finally, or you don't know what is finally block, and if you're not using it, then due to not presence of catch block, or if the error that you are currently catching, it is not that error. Say for example, I am catching a null pointer over here, but instead I should be catching a file not found exception over here, right? Because file may or may not be there at this position. So I should be catching file not found exception. See, it is telling me you have to catch which exception? File not found. I am here catching null pointer. So I may not be catching the correct exception here. In that case, the file may live in unpredictable state and we are not closing the file completely. So actual user finally is to clean up the resources that you have used in the program. If you have used a printer in your program, you must be closing the printer before you are exiting the program. If you have used a file in the program, you must be closing the file before you are closing up the program. That is the actual user finally to complete the process which you are doing in the program. To release the resources, we can say in other words, to release the blocked resources, we can use the finally block. Now, are you getting the actual user finally block or not? Tell me. Yes. Yes. Anybody having any doubt in what is finally, can try survive without catch? Yes, of course it can survive without catch, but it has to have finally block for emptying or refilling up the resources. Yes. Anybody having any question in finally block now? You can let me know if you have any questions. We have done try, we have done catch, we have done finally. If somebody is telling you the difference between finally and final keyword, you must be able to identify now. Finally is a block, okay. Final was a keyword. It is used to stop inheritance or maybe create static constant variables. And finally, block is used for releasing the resources which are used in the program. It is used for stopping those resources, for closing the file, for releasing those handled resources. That is the actual use of finally. Okay, anybody is having any question now in try, catch, and finally? And the sequence, okay, the sequence of catch, can catch exist without, can try is there without finally or not? All these questions could come in the examination or also an interview. Also. Anybody is having any question? In these three keywords, we have done try, we have done catch, and we have done finally. Anybody is having any questions in try, catch, and finally? Okay. Okay. Okay, fine. Yes, no problem. Okay, then I want to show you. Okay, then we can with throws and throw keyword. That we can do. Okay, so this. I have told that there are 5 keywords in exception handling. Okay, but before we do that, I want to show you one more thing. Okay, before we do that, before I go on to that, I want to show you one more thing. Let me see if we can. Okay, yes, we can do it like this. I can show you by creating. Yeah. Okay, this is. I can show it to you. It is easy. Okay, say for example, you have you have a function. Okay, you have function 1, you have function 2, you have multiple functions in your program. Okay, you have function 3. You have multiple functions in your program, and you are calling these functions inside each one of them. Okay, so for example, you are calling function 1 here. Okay, and in function 1, when you are calling this, some exception is occurring, meaning the negative array size exception is occurring over here, but you are providing the mechanism for this exception in your function 3. Okay, even if I don't provide the mechanism, I can show it to you. I am calling here function 3 directly. Okay, see what I am doing here. I have created a class with 3 functions, and they are calling internally. Okay, function 2 is placing a call to function 1, and function 3 is placing a call to function 2. So actually I am calling 3, which in turn will call function 2, and function 2 will in turn call function 1. Okay, as there is automatically one negative size array exception over here, the program is definitely going to fall into that category, negative size exception. The thing that I want you to observe is, we call this as propagation of exception. How exceptions are getting propagated. See how they are getting propagated. Okay. See this stack trace. Stack trace means see how the functions are getting called in a sequence. Okay. Whenever the exception occurred in main, okay, the first one is always shown, the last one, it is a stack. The first one that has occurred is on the bottom of the stack. Push, and push. Okay, the records are pushed onto the stack always. So wherever the exception, the reason why you can always see the correct error message at the last, why I am telling you that also, because it is pushed onto the stack. This is a stack. Function calls are always on the stack. You can see it here also. Whenever the main is executed, this line is having some problem. Okay, then the exception handling mechanism is going to line number 14, searching for exception handler. Do we have some exception handler? No. JVM is searching for it over here. Do we have try and catch to handle this exception? No, we don't have that. Does function 1 is having some exception handling mechanism? No, it is not having. So the complete stack trace is shown over here, and at last it is shown that this statement is causing error, and there are no mechanism, there is no mechanism, there are no try and catch blocks over here to see this exception. Okay, the propagation will always happen to the previous function calling. Okay, so it is like the from the top of the stack you can browse here. It is searching for the the mechanism for whether try and catch is there or not. If it is not there, it's going to show that exception is there already. Now if I surround any one of them, okay, if I'm surrounding this with try and catch, I'm surrounding this with try and catch, I'm simply calling the superclass exception over here, I'm not getting into negative size or anything, then it is not going to show any error. Okay, for sure it is going to not show any error because it has already been handled over here. What I am trying to say here is that whenever the functions are called, they are always looking for whether the mechanism is there in the called function or not. It is trying to search, it is trying to propagate whether the mechanism is there for handling or not. If it is not there, again, whenever exception is occurring over here, this exception is propagated to different functions. And whichever function is handling the exception, okay, it is done. If you are not handling, then I am passing it to JVM, and JVM is going to definitely catch it on its own, giving the red colored error that we have seen in the last example. Okay, are you getting this? Whenever the functions are called internally also, then also you are capable of catching the exception by giving try and catch block in any of the function, because as soon as you're calling the function, you are definitely rising up the stack and it knows that these functions have been called and they are not having any mechanism, then it is going to throw it to JVM. But before throwing it to JVM, the function itself tries to throw this exception object to the caller function. Who is calling me? I am going to throw this object to that function. Is this having mechanism? No. Okay, then I'm calling to the next function who is calling me. Like that, it is propagated. And when it comes to void main, there is no try catch over there. So it is definitely going to show you that exception. If you had managed it, then it is okay. It is going to show you the correct output. Okay, this we call it as exception propagation. Right? We can propagate the exceptions like this to the caller method. The exception is already, if you are not providing the mechanism, no. If you are not providing the mechanism, then the caller from where the control has been transferred, even if, I'll show you one more thing, even if nothing is mentioned over here, okay, I'm not mentioning try and catch over here, but I'm mentioning try and catch over here inside when the function is called, okay. I can even mention try and catch here itself whenever the function is, mentioned here. Wherever the function is called, I can even mention the try and catch here itself to the caller. Okay, I'm mentioning the function try and catch to the caller over here. Who is calling? Main is calling. Okay, I'm mentioning in its own body. Even that is okay. Okay, you need not to always have try and catch declared inside the function itself. You can even have it to the caller. Here currently the caller is having the control over the exception. Any which way it is fine. Okay, in printing OB, it should be printing E, and yes. Yes. Are you getting what I'm explaining you here? The exceptions are always propagated to the caller method. Okay, whoever is the caller has to resolve the try and catch. If it is not there, again the control is passed to the JVM and JVM is handling it in its abrupt fashion. Yes, are you understanding what I'm telling you? Do you have any questions so far?
Ma'am, if we call function 2 instead of function 3, then what will happen?
Okay. If you are calling function 2, okay, I'll undo your program, then we'll do it. Yes. You are not having any exception over here, right? That is what you are telling?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you are calling here function 2.
No, there is exception in function 3, but we are calling function 2.
Exception in function 3, you have exception in function 3. Currently, you are having exception in function 1, okay?
Yeah, but that is catch in function 3.
Yes, it is. Yes. Here you want to call function 1. Here you want to call function 1.
No, ma'am. Here I want to add try and catch block, like previously.
Okay, like previous only you want to add try and catch.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we are printing the message also. Okay, done. Then?
Ma'am, instead of function 2, function 1.
Here we are calling function 1.
Yes, ma'am.
And here
now,
you are calling
function 2. Then what will happen?
Here you are calling function 2. Okay, so you are calling function 2. Again you are calling function 1 from here, no? right? See, function 3 is never called, no. This is never called, right? So even if it is having this mechanism, you need to call the function on the top of, see, how the stack arises whenever you are calling function on the top of it, meaning whenever you are placing call to function 2, the control is going here, on the top of function 2, function 1 is called. If you had again function 0, no, if you are calling function 0 over here, no, again function 0 will be on the top of the stack. But if the function call is not at all placed, then how can it call this function? In order for this block to execute, you need to at least call function 3 somewhere, no? Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. If it is not called, no, then it is unused function. Then this body is not executed at all. Right? Even if it had try and catch, no, it is not executed. But if you had called function 3 here, no, then definitely it will execute. Then definitely it is going to, catch the exception. Right? Got it?
And ma'am, if we call function 3 in function 1,
okay, you are calling function 3 in function 1. After this or before this you are calling?
after that.
After this you are calling function 3. It is recursive call. See here. Shall I remove function
Yes,
1?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, then how it will catch the exception?
Okay. If there is no call to function 1, your this is, see, the statements that may cause error are written inside try catch block. Okay. If you are calling function 1 here, it is a recursive call, isn't it? It is, bypassing here and here. See, function 3, whenever you are calling function 2, from function 2 you are calling function 3. So function 3 is calling function 1. But in function 1 itself, okay, here only you are having the exception. No. So this exception is automatically catched in catch. But had you called this before this, then it is recursion now. See, right? Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Because if you are placing this call after this, no, it is unreachable statement. Why unreachable? Because from here, whenever the exception has occurred, the control is going to try. It is printing this message. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Whenever you are calling this, no, automatically it is printing this message. It is calling this function and printing this message, right? Whenever you are calling this function, automatically it is running into exception like this, right? Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay. Anybody having any questions in propagating the exceptions? You can definitely propagate the exceptions like this from the caller that you have placed the caller to. Okay. Anybody is having any questions? Okay, I'm assuming no questions. Then do you want to start a new topic or do you want to do 2-3 questions? I am okay with starting a new topic also, whatever you want to do. You are not responding, meaning everybody is sleeping. Okay, you want to do questions. Okay, fine. Where everybody will do questions that you can do these questions only. Okay, I can give you that only. Okay, I am giving you a few questions here. Try to write a program that is handling these exceptions. Okay, it is again examination point of view question only. I am listing out the exceptions over here. Okay, in the chat box itself, or I can even write it down here in the notepad itself. Try to write a program that is handling these exceptions. Okay, you already know this. Okay. Negative array size exception. Try to write, even you can do it in one program itself. I'm okay with that. You can handle it using multiple try-catch blocks or whatever suits you, that is okay. But try to write the programs on this. Okay. Then you have array index out of bound. Index is actually 2 types of indexes you have. Array index out of bound you have, and you have string index out of bound also. Okay. Index out of bound is actually 2-part question because you can have array or this string both. Okay. Then, oh yes, you also have this null pointer exception. Try to write a program that generates this exception and then catches it. Okay. First, you need to read this, and then you need to catch this exception, and then you have simple arithmetic exception. Okay. Then you also have this file not found exception. Try to write a program that is implementing this exception. One more, I remember converting. Yes, this is also there. Number format is also there. No. These are the predefined classes, okay, for exception itself. That's it, this much you can do. Write programs to generate these exceptions and then try to catch them. Okay, I have mentioned here 9 exceptions and errors both together. Try to write a program to generate them and then catch them. These are all inbuilt exceptions, okay? These are all inbuilt or given in the library class exceptions. You will be creating your own exceptions also, okay? You will be creating your own exceptions according to your wish. Only the program should be throwing error and all. That also we are going to do, but not today, in the future sessions, of course. But you can even do this creation of own exceptions also you can do.
Ma'am, what is multi-catch?
Yes, Vidhi, you are saying something?
What is multi-catch?
Multi-catch means multiple catch blocks. Yeah, you know.
No, we add 2-3 exceptions in one catch block.
Oh, you are telling like that? No.
Yes.
You want to list multiple exceptions in one catch block. That you are telling?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. For that, multi catch is listing. See, multiple catch block is there, but multi catch block is not there. I think, but it will, if it is there, no, it is not in JDK6 for sure. Just give me one moment. I will try it on my own if it is happening or not, because I know that no, it is not working. Okay, yes.
Because I'm getting warning that replace with multi-catch.
Okay, then you might be using the advanced version of Java. Then it is wait, no. See, in my no, it is not happening because it is not using the advanced version. But you can, if you can see my screen, are you able to see my screen? Then you can give it like this using OR operator. You know this OR operator?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it is working.
In which can you tell me again?
Sorry, ma'am. Can you repeat?
What you are telling in your device, it is working fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Then this might not be the updated JDK, but yes, you can put this the OR symbol. You can use it over here, but it is not there. It is JDK 6 or 7. I forgot which JDK is there, but yes, you can do it like this. Right? Is it happening like this? Is it working using 1 OR or 2 OR you are using?
1 OR.
1 OR. No? Yes. That will catch any one of it that is occurring from there, right? Anybody facing problems in implementing these exceptions, let me know. I will help you out. With the name itself, you can directly assume, you can get the idea what the exception is all about. I even want to show you one more thing. Let's see. Not this. Okay, you can see on my screen for a minute. I'll share you one. I'll show you one more thing. Everybody, please see my screen. You can also nest this like nested if else. No, you can also nest this. Try and catch, but there is no harm in that. Okay, so I'm having an exception over here itself. So it will not execute the rest of the statement. Just see what is the output. Okay, it is directly going to skip the rest of the statements because this is automatically causing the exception. Okay, see the output here. It is only printing this negative array size exception. Okay, I am printing here E. Wait, yes, and I'm printing here E directly, so we can get to know what is happening here. Okay, see, it is directly printing negative array size exception here because this statement itself is caused the exception, so rest of the statements are skipped, meaning the rest of the complete try block is skipped. Okay, this complete block of code is skipped because exception is occurred in this statement and it is catching the negative size array exception. Okay, but if I am changing the sequence of this statement, I am keeping this statement after this try and catch has executed successfully. I am keeping it here. Okay, I am keeping this nested inside the nested try and catch. I am also keeping one more statement after it. Then both the exceptions are being caught properly. First, the null pointer one, because it is the innermost try block. Always the innermost try block will execute always the first. Okay, you can create multiple hierarchies also of this try block. Innermost nested try block will always execute first, and the matching catch exception is always seen and checked, then it is executed. Okay, and then the rest of the statement was also causing the exception, so the control went to the negative array size exception. This is the first thing. Another thing I want to show you here is that if no matching catch block is found, meaning here I am catching some array index out of bound exception, which is not the appropriate null pointer exception. Okay, if I am not catching the correct exception, then also the program will terminate abnormally. Why it will terminate abnormally? Because you are not catching the correct exception over here. But if you are catching the correct exception here in the outside catch block, I am catching the exception of the innermost try block in the outside catch block, which is the super catch block, then the program will run fine. And as this exception is not, not even executed. Why this is not executed over here? Because this control transferred, it checked for the innermost catch. It is not having the matching exception. Okay, let me check the outermost catch. Is it having that exception? Yes. So this block is executed and hence this statement is skipped over here. Whenever the innermost catch, innermost try is not having the exact catch, then it is checking for the catch block of the upper try. This will happen even if you have so many nested levels. Okay, it is going to check the catch block of the outermost try, again outermost try, and if that is the matching catch block, then it is going to print the exception, and the rest of the statements of that executed try block are definitely going to get skipped because you are transferring your call from here to the matching catch block here, so the statements are currently skipped. Okay, you can have multiple levels of this nested try and catch over here, of course, but the particular try should have the matching catch block. If the matching catch block is not found, then the outermost try or the superior try is checked. Is it having the matching catch block? If not, again go ahead and check the outermost try. Like that, the exception is propagated in that way also. Okay, the nested try catch block also exists, and it will find the matching catch block. If it is not going to find, then JVM is going to handle it on its own. Okay, are you getting this nested concept?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. You can try, see these exceptions that I have listed over here, no? From examination point of view, I am going to tell you how the questions are asked. The question could be explain so-and-so exception along with giving the exception and handling it using try and catch. Okay. The question from the examination point of view, these questions will not be asked like a programming point of view in interview for sure, but in examination point of view, how they will be asked that write a program that demonstrates arithmetic exception. So you need to throw and you need to catch the exception accordingly. That could be, that kind of questions could come. So you must know what exception is, representing what concept in this program. I'll take the attendance meanwhile. We can continue with the program. Ayush, Rohan, Vipin, Manav.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Anuj, Riddhi,
Present, ma'am.
Riddhi is also there. Yash Raj, Yash,
Yes, ma'am.
Nancy,
Yes, ma'am.
Nikita,
Present, ma'am.
Manthan,
Present, ma'am.
yes. Smith Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
Devansh,
Present, ma'am.
yes. Divyajit,
Yes, madam.
yes. Yashang,
Yes, ma'am.
Bhupen,
Yes, ma'am.
Tushar, Yash,
Present.
yes. Manyar, Parmar,
Present, ma'am. Mania present, ma'am.
yes, yes. Udairaj, Rishabh, yes, yes. Ivanchi, Janvi,
Present, ma'am.
Manushali, Harshvardhan, Vijay
Ma'am, Harshvardhan present.
Harshvardhan, Dadania, Bharti,
Present, ma'am.
yes. Avinash,
Present, ma'am.
yes. Prantil is not there. Limbani,
Present, ma'am.
Arjun,
I
Maharani,
am present.
yes.
Harshvardhan, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes. Tanmay Raj,
Yes, ma'am.
Dignesh Prasad,
Arjun present.
Present, ma'am.
yes, yes. Andamani is there. Sushil Prasad,
Present, ma'am.
Dhruvi, yes. Naitik, Dharmik, Mohammed, Krunal,
Present, ma'am.
Nidhi,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, somebody's. Arpit, Meghna,
Yes, ma'am.
Yash, Bhavdeep, Divya, Saifali,
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, AI 45 present.
AI. Saifali, you are there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Samiralam,
Present, ma'am.
yes. Isha,
Present, ma'am.
Vibhucha, Parik, Aditya,
Present, ma'am.
yes, yes, Vibhucha is there. Aditya, Kriplani, Aditya Jain, Vedakan, Priyank,
Ma'am, 51 present.
Present, ma'am.
51, Hitesh is there. Okay. Tushar,
Present, ma'am.
yes. Nikita, Girish, Pratik,
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
57 present.
57 you were there. Yes. Enrollment number 62. Shri is present. 61. 59. 60.
Ma'am, AI 6.
Yes. Pima, you are there, right?
Yes, madam. Pema.
Yes.
Present.
Yes. 65.
Present, ma'am.
73. Mohammed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Darshan Raj.
Yes, ma'am.
Jaideep. Yes. Smriti. Vaishali. Vasu.
Present, ma'am.
Kunal.
Present, ma'am.
Hollywood. Yes.
Ma'am, AI 6.
Tushar, you are present. Great. Yes. Mark, you are present.
Ma'am, Divya was also present. Ma'am, you have marked him absent.
Who was there?
Divya Dodeja. Divya Dodeja.
Divya was there. Okay. Yes. Yes, I have marked him present also.